Okay, everyone. I am assuming that I am live and we have started to record. Thank you for your patience for starting a little later than normal because I'm still getting used to this hosting the webinar business. Everyone, my name is Glen Martin. It's my great pleasure to host this call tonight where we're going to explore something wonderful. Just checking that I've got my sharing happening. Yes, it's all going good. So welcome. Let's get on with our presentation. I want to welcome all of our associates to the call tonight, to this expert in the house. And most importantly, I want to welcome any guests that we have who may be looking at ASEA for the very first time. If that's you, then I hope that tonight I will provide a convincing and compelling argument for one of the most extraordinary new scientific discoveries in the world, maybe one of the greatest health breakthroughs the world has ever seen. So, at the heart of this presentation tonight is a basic premise, and that is that breakthroughs create opportunities. An opportunity to serve, to contribute, and also maybe to gain significantly for ourselves, for our families, for those that we care about. And as I mentioned tonight, we're about to look at something that has changed many, many lives. Unusually, so many people don't know about this yet. So by the end of this presentation, which I will speed through as fast as I can, you will know more about this subject than 99.9% of the people on this planet. So let's go. I just want to start this story by sharing a little of my story, just so you know where I'm coming from, the person that's presenting to you. I've always been very health and fitness conscious from a very young age. Started martial arts at 11, always into health. Everything changed for me at the age of 25 when my mother was diagnosed with a life-threatening condition. She was told she had to start chemotherapy the next day or she'd be dead in 30 days. And we said goodbye to her at 5 p.m. the following day. They started chemo at 7, and at 9:30 at night, we got a phone call saying, you better come into the hospital. We don't think she'll make it through the night. So yeah, that was a big turning point for me. She did make it through the night. She in fact lasted 31 days before she passed away, but it rocked my whole world, as you can imagine, at the age of 25. And I set out on a quest to discover what makes us healthy, what makes us sick, and what can I do about it. A quest that has gone on for the rest of my life, for certainly the better part of 25, 35 years. And the journey has led me to what we are going to share tonight. And it's a very, very special thing. What we're going to talk about tonight is one of the most significant health, athletic, and anti-aging breakthroughs of our time. If you're skeptical about that, don't worry, I was too. Even after 25 years of research, when I first came across this breakthrough, I didn't get it. And it actually took me a while to come around. So it's so new and such a breakthrough that it's somewhat outside of the paradigm most of us know about health. But this is a category creator. It's 10 to 15 years ahead of its time. I sometimes like to refer to it as futuristic or science fiction. That's what it seems like. For 2 decades, science had actually declared that this breakthrough was completely impossible. And I dare say there are still scientists who believe that today. We are really forging ahead in front of most accepted science. So before we go into what ASEA is, let's discuss a little bit about what it is not. It isn't a vitamin. It's not a mineral. It's not an antioxidant. It's not an exotic juice, an essential oil, or a CBD oil. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with those things. They are in large part when good quality. They are amazing, but this isn't that. ASEA Redox goes beyond nutrition and actually beyond ingredients, and it can impact your health at a depth that no other supplement has ever come close to achieving. For many, ASEA Redox represents the missing link to better health. So what is it? If it's not any of those things, it is the world's first and only redox signaling supplement. And now, what does that mean? Well, redox biochemistry and redox signaling are rapidly growing areas of science. There are over 1,200 textbooks about redox. There are many, many published peer-reviewed studies on this particular science. In fact, that figure's outdated. I think now it's over 20,000 studies. And there are even large conferences, international conferences, pretty big for something that most of us have never heard of. There are million-dollar university grants that are dedicated to forwarding this science. And there are even whole societies forming around this. To give you an idea of how much the science is advancing in this area, an organization called the Society for Free Radical Research, something like that, recently changed its name to Society for Redox Biology and Medicine. So the world is catching up. So this is a very rapidly growing area of science, and that is because this phenomenon, this biological process that we call redox signaling, is actually foundational to cellular health, rejuvenation, and renewal, impacting every major body system. Basically, we cannot live without it. Let's go a little bit more into cell signaling so you get an idea of the basis of this biology. Your body is the most complex communication network anywhere in the universe, probably. At any one moment, there are thousands, maybe millions of signals going on, chemically, electrically, hormonally, around your body, so that the body knows what to do. There is any even cursory study of how the human body works, and one walks away completely dumbfounded at how such a beautiful perfection can come about. So it's critical that that communication is working properly. Any breakdown in that communication, in that cell signaling, communication from cell to cell, can result in serious issues in the body. Now, I want to just give you a little analogy. This is actually the best one that I found to explain analogously how this works. Let's say, for example, you've got your mobile phone. In the Northern Hemisphere, they call it a cell phone. And it's important that you have the right cell signaling. Imagine that you come home one day from work, you drive over that last hill and you see your house is on fire. What's the first thing you do after panicking? You call the fire brigade. And when I ask people, what's the first thing they ask you? They say, your name? No, the first thing they say is, what is your location? Because it's absolutely critical that they have that location so they can actually do their job. And if your cell signal is weak and they can't understand you, then they can't get to you. And it doesn't matter that at the fire department, they've got beautiful machines, they've got water, they've got highly trained firefighters. It really doesn't matter if they can't get to you. So, and your house goes up in flames. Well, guess what, everyone? All of our houses are slowly going up in flames due to a whole lot of different factors. But a big factor is that this signaling is not happening the way it should. And ASEA Redox is the only product today available that can supply these critical signaling molecules that enable the communication so that your body can work at its optimum. A little bit more about it. As I mentioned, every major facet of the body is affected by these molecules, by this process of cell signaling. It affects heart muscles, the blood, nervous system, brain cells, fat cells, you name it, from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Every biological system is affected majorly by this signaling process. And we could look at the body like this. There's you're made up of systems. You've got the muscular system, the endocrine system, cardiovascular system, the reproductive system. Those systems are made up of organs. The organs in turn are made up by tissues. The tissues are made up of cells. 75 trillion. That's just a mind-blowing number. I think one way it was explained to me is that a million seconds is 8.5 days, but a trillion seconds is like 3,000 years. Like it's a huge amount. So here's the thing, underlying all of those cells, we have this process going on with the introduction of redox signaling molecules. They're made inside every cell, they're put out into the intracellular fluid. They do their work very, very quickly in a fraction of a second and then turn back into their original ingredients, which are, in fact, the salt and the water inside each cell. The part of the cell that makes the molecules is called the mitochondria. It's producing energy. It's like the energy factory of every cell. And at the same time that the cell is making the molecules for energy, it's also making redox signaling molecules. Interestingly, they are so critical to life that a doctor was sharing some information about this with us quite a few years ago, 5 years ago. Dr. Dick Walker from, I think, Washington State in America. And he said, if I could turn off your body's ability to make these molecules, your entire biology would unravel and you would be dead in about 15 minutes. So pretty significant for something we've never heard of. So, and they are foundational to healthy cell signaling throughout the body. Communication is critical. Also, what's important to understand is that redox signaling molecules are native to the body. That means your body is making them. Blueberries are good for your body, but your body doesn't make blueberries, and we'll see the significance of that as we go along. Bottom line, if your cells can't signal, then little else matters. Here's the analogy I mentioned with the fire truck. All the stuff they need, but we need to have that strong signal between the cells. So with age, diet, stress, environmental toxins, we age. And we now know that these redox signaling molecules and the fact that as we get older, our body produces less and less, about 10% less each decade after puberty. So obviously this communication network becomes less and less efficient, and we start to see deficiencies and imbalances as a result of the lack of these molecules. Diminished cellular efficiency and function, whole cellular healing process becomes slow and sluggish. We begin to feel and see the visible signs of aging. So obviously to be able to replenish your cells with more redox signaling molecules would be groundbreaking. However, as I mentioned, these molecules do their work, turn back into salt water within a fraction of a second. In fact, it's in the thousandths of a second. And that's why after decades, scientists said, well, there's just no way that you can reproduce these because they're like sparks, they're fleeting. If you could possibly make them, they'd be gone before you could do anything with them. So the key in being able to change that equation was actually to create a situation where you could stabilize the molecules so that they would be sort of, if you like, asleep until you put them in your body. But science, they basically said this cannot be done. So after almost 2 decades of research, millions of dollars invested, multiple patents, scientists achieved that impossible goal. They're actually able to create stabilized redox signaling molecules outside of the body in perfect balance, just like they are found in healthy cells. And that balance is absolutely critical. Obviously, stabilizing them meant that you could actually put them in a bottle and send that bottle somewhere. You had more than 1,000th of a second to get that done. In fact, the stabilization process created molecules that would be stable for up to 18 months. You can do a lot in 18 months. So what's the result? We have the world's first and only redox signaling supplement. Just to give you a little bit more depth on that, the importance, the breakthrough of stabilization, it was described to me like this. Imagine that you had a jug full of boiling water and you had another jug of virtually freezing cold water, and you poured them both into a third jug, and in that third jug, the hot water stayed hot and the cold water stayed cold. You can see why scientists are saying, you can't do that. It's impossible. But it has been done. How is it done? Well, ASEA has a patented 3-step process. I believe it takes 3 days to complete. And this is basically the simple way that it's done. Obviously, there's detail, which is why there are multiple patents. Step 1 is they take pure water, less than 1 part per million dissolved solids. It's about as pure as you can get. They then mix into that medical grade salt, the same salt that they would use in saline solutions in a hospital. They then apply electrolysis, and that breaks down the bonds between the atoms. So sodium chloride, sodium and chlorine, water, hydrogen, oxygen. So now you've got a free-flowing mix, a soup, if you like, of these atoms unbonded. And then obviously the third step is recombining those into these incredible molecules in a way that it mimics what the body produces. It's absolutely astonishing. That has resulted nearly 12 years ago in this beautiful blue bottle, ASEA Redox. We also have a second application of the same technology, which took another 4 years of research to actually develop. As you can imagine from what I've already shared, these molecules are highly reactive. They turn on very, very quickly in contact with most substances. So it took another 5 years to work out how they could make this into a gel with results that you'll see in just a second. So we have, as I said, 2 applications of the one technology, what we call ASEA Redox, which is a liquid supplement. We call that cellular health from the inside out. And we have Renew 28, a gel, a topical gel, and we refer to this as cellular health from the outside in. It is the only company in the world where you can get this powerful redox technology. It's heavily patented, therefore protected. And I'm very happy to say that you don't have to believe me that that blue bottle has stabilized redox signaling molecules in it, because Bioagilitics, one of the most prestigious biotesting firms in the world, half of their staff is PhDs, and they do testing, clinical testing for the majority of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the United States. So ASEA gave them a bottle of ASEA and said, you tell us what's in this bottle. They came back and said, this bottle contains stabilized redox signaling molecules, specifically stabilized reactive oxygen species, which is the technical term for these molecules. So we have it from very good authority, as they say, that we have what we say we have in the bottles. So for that reason, the technology is not on trial anymore. We also know now that due to clinical trials that were conducted a couple of years ago, 3 years ago now, where ASEA partnered with one of the most prestigious genetic testing laboratories in the US, a company called Tourette Laboratories. You wouldn't have heard of those probably, but you would know of an organization called Ancestry.com, for whom Tourette do a lot of their genetic testing. So Tourette Laboratories and ASEA teamed up. ASEA said, we'd like to find out if this technology actually has an effect at the genetic level, because some of the results were so consistent, it seemed that that would be a good place to look. And in an 8-week study, a SEA redox was shown to activate 5 important gene signaling pathways by up to 31%. Now, I'll be honest, I didn't know what gene signaling pathways were before I heard about this test. I've learned a lot more since, but this was a blue ribbon trial, and very importantly, although funded by ASEA, it was put through a very stringent auditing process. There are organizations in the United States, all they do is audit clinical trials. And so that was an independent audit, and everything came up hunky-dory. So up to 31%, that positively impacted 5 major areas of health. As I show you these 5 areas, I'd just like you to think about, who do you know who has one or more of these issues? Immune system, inflammatory response, cardiovascular health, healthy digestion, hormone modulation. One of my colleagues, Terry Latham, whenever he stands in a room and does a presentation, he says, okay, everyone stand up and sit down as you recognize something that's an issue for you. And usually by the time he gets to the 3rd one, 90% of the room is already seated. So, I mean, we know it's a fact of life that there are people are struggling now as we get older, a lot of degeneration. So anything that can help our bodies to correct at a profound level in these areas is obviously very, very welcome. So without getting too much into the science, I just want to mention one thing. That is that they tested 5 gene signaling pathways. And what they found was, when they tested EGR1, it's one particular pathway, they found that that cascaded into another 15 different gene signaling pathways. Now you can see some of these are pretty important in our bodies. Let's take, for example, insulin signaling. That would be improving at a genetic level your body's ability to control blood sugars, therefore the production of insulin. I think you can see what the ramifications of that might be. Human thyroid stimulating hormone, signaling pathway, ovarian infertility genes. So yeah, lots of, I mean, just look at that list of things, you know, serotonin receptors, which affect sleep, spinal cord injury. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So suffice it to say, those that were taking part in conducting the tests, pretty blown away, as was ASEA and as were all of us, because it helped us to understand a little bit more why we see such profound results with this technology across the board. Experts agree that oxidative stress is the #1 health risk factor. Remember, I was saying all of our houses are burning down, if only because of oxidative stress, which accompanies a lot of other issues. Yes, we can see the NRF2 pathway directly related to the production of glutathione. Now, I happen to know a fair bit about glutathione as part of my study over the years. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant and master detox agent, if you like. And what we now know is that drinking ASEA has, one of the effects is that it allows the body to utilize glutathione much more effectively, in fact, up to 800%. So pretty amazing, as well as lowering oxidized LDL, lowering oxidized DNA. Now, there are no antioxidants in ASEA, but if you think of it like this, imagine you've got a house full of lighting, beautiful lighting. You've got wall lights, floor lights, ceiling lights, spotlights, but not enough electricity. So you're going to have a constant brownout or no light at all. So think of redox signaling molecules as the electricity that allows your body to light up. That's one way I found it easy to understand. So what are the experts saying about this technology? Anne-Louise Gittleman, referred to as the first lady of nutrition in the States. She's written, I think, over 30 books. She said, ASEA, in my humble estimation, is the greatest advance in lifestyle medicine, which harnesses the power of your own body to keep you well. Dr. Gary Samuelson, atomic medical physicist, one of only a few in the world, who played a pivotal role in stabilizing these molecules. He said, and take this in, guys, this technology has the potential to spearhead the greatest advances in health we have ever seen. That's a pretty big statement. I mean, we've had a lot of advances in the last couple of 100 years. So, yeah, very, very powerful. I would say, given what I've observed over the last 6 years that I've been involved with ASEA, I would say I absolutely agree. So, as things stand today, excuse me, we have hundreds of medical professionals who have, what would we say, embraced this technology as being a powerful adjunct to what they already do. We have thousands, in fact, I would say now tens of thousands of lives profoundly changed. And ASEA is one of the most significant health science breakthroughs of our time. We have athletes using ASEA to great advantage. It's quite astonishing that when you improve the signaling between the cells, well, there are obvious ways that that would enhance athletic performance. Everything works better when your body is signaling properly. We have significant improvements in endurance and recovery. We have Olympic athletes, we have Olympic swimmers, we have triathletes, we have cyclists. Many athletes across the world are now using it. I did hear a coach say to me, he said, any athlete that wants to have an edge will use ASEA. And he said there will come a point when not using it will be a disadvantage. I'll mention here just one study that was done a few years ago, 7-day study using mice. And they found that, they'd put them on a treadmill and they run until they're exhausted. And what they found was that putting them on ASEA, they ran 29% further before they got exhausted. Now, mice don't run 29% further for nothing. When I say that, I often have this image in my mind of a gun to the head of the mouse. You better run further. But yeah, so pretty important. That's a big difference, 29%. It's not like 3%. It's pretty huge. And the reason they're able to run further, it has been determined, is because when an athlete or any biological organism, I say any mammal, drinks ASEA, it switches the body's preference from burning sugars for fuel to burning fat. Let's have a look at some results from the gel. Now, what's wonderful about the Renew 28 is that it does on the outside some pretty amazing things, and it doesn't take a big leap to realize if it's doing that to the skin, what's it doing to the stomach, the spleen, the brain, the large intestines, etc. So we have a gel and you apply it topically. It's odorless, it's very, very safe. And we've done quite a few tests, not me personally, but ASEA has engaged different independent labs to check this out. And what we've found is that we can now say, when you apply Renew 28 to the skin, you age slower. Any skin challenges, your body is able to deal with them better, faster, more easily. If I look at those top 2 photos, what impresses me is that, of course, I notice the spots, but after looking 15 times, I noticed the neckline. Pretty amazing. So any skin challenges, it's a soothing gel that you can apply wherever there is discomfort. discomfort relief from if you've got muscular discomfort, back discomfort, whatever you can think of. Slap the gel on. It's really good. And general health. This is the three faces of a friend of mine. And you can see that when he first was introduced to Renew 28, he was not feeling or looking too good. He started to use it. You can see that after day 6, you can see significant improvement. And day 22, well, picture paints 1,000 words. What's wonderful is that a short time after this gentleman who'd been out of work for a year got a job. So the change in his whole demeanor, the change in his skin helped to bring back his dignity as well. So he was able to go out and feel confident and got another job. Pretty cool. One of our favorite before and afters, or should I say before and after and after and after. This is Rosie. Rosie started putting the gel on her face and drinking the liquid at the age of 84. And you can see after 7 weeks, then after 2 years, and then after 3 years. And I almost think it should be in the reverse order. The photos should be in the reverse order. So, yeah, absolutely incredible result for Rosie. Renew Advance, won't go into detail here, but we have a whole skincare regime that's cutting edge, that's built around the Renew 28 and includes a serum, which is similar to Renew 28, but more concentrated. Very good for spot areas on the skin, fine lines, crow's feet, bags under the eyes, that sort of thing. But I don't want to keep you too long, so we'll keep moving. Also, as of the last 2 years, 2.5 years, we now have also a nutritional range. We like to refer to it as practical, cutting edge common sense. That's it, cutting edge common sense. Really wonderful formulas. It includes a multivitamin, mineral, etc. source. We have a probiotic with a prebiotic. We have an anti-aging formula, Life Max, and we have essential fatty acids in the omega. Again, we could go into that in depth. I could do a whole presentation on that. And here are the 4 products. Wonderful stuff. So here's the key to this technology, to what ASEA is providing to the world from a product point of view. And that is that we literally live and die at the cellular level. If your cells are healthy, you're healthy. If you've got a healthy heart, I guarantee you've got healthy heart cells. Can't really be any other way. Same with your brain, same with your stomach, same with your skin. So it's important that we look at how can we maximally support all of the processes. So what we have is we have the building blocks of health, the raw ingredients, which are totally necessary. And then we have the redox, which is providing the communication. Now, one of the ways of looking at this is that if you want to build a house, you've got to, yes, have all the raw materials. But if you don't have any workers, how on earth are you going to get the house built? You've just got a bunch of materials. And this is one of my favorite images to illustrate this point. This is the Amish community in the United States. When they have a newlywed couple in their community, they build them a house in a weekend, which seems impossible at first thought. But if you've got not a builder and a subcontractor and a couple of laborers, but you've got 40 master builders, yeah, sure, you can build a house in a weekend. And that's what they do. So, and they can build it really fast. So when you improve that workability, when you've got more workers or the capacity to do the work, then the body can heal much faster than you might have thought was possible. And ASEA is the only company in the world to offer yourselves the material and the labor to get the work done. So it's very exciting. Therefore, we actually can claim to be the premier cellular health company on the planet. And we're proud of that because it's true. And so as a result, we have so many lives changed. This product has had a profound effect in my life, but also in my circle of influence, many of my friends. It saved my dad's life twice in 3 years. And that's a whole other amazing story, but very, very profound. And that's, there are many ways to earn a living, but when one can earn a living by sharing something that has this much of a profound change on other people is such a contribution. It's just a joy. Let me go on. We're getting close to the end here. And remember, we talked about breakthroughs, creating opportunities back at the beginning. Well, I want to spend just a few minutes before I close to discuss what that opportunity is. And if you can, put on your business hat for the next 10 minutes, because I want to take you on a journey of what ASEA, the opportunity, could possibly offer to you. So think of it this way. We have a high impact technology that gets results. I would go so far to say that it's the only supplement I have ever used in my life that works every time for every person under all circumstances. I wouldn't have said that when I first got connected to ASEA, but I've seen too much and I know that this to be true. So think about the contribution that makes in the world, the potential contribution and the potential marketability of something that good. Now, no other company in the world has it. This has been my dream my entire business life. If only I had a product no one else had. So it's validated by third-party independent science. The technology is not on trial anymore. Everybody needs it. Virtually nobody knows about it. Oh my goodness. In a world of 7.5 billion people, with maybe half of those suffering from some sort of debilitation, some sort of less than optimum health situation. What an amazing situation. Now, very quickly, I just want to recap how this all started. We call this the genesis of ASEA. And it came about through the actions of several men, but probably the pivotal role was played by Vertus Norton, a very accomplished corporate citizen in America, much respected throughout the country for his business acumen. He was the strategic vice president of Kraft Foods for many years. And he was smart enough to recognize that when he came across a company that was selling these formulas because they'd spent so much money they were going broke, that it was worthwhile for him to acquire them, even though they hadn't stabilized the molecules very, very well yet, and try and get that project done. And it was a side business project in the beginning, but through many steps, very serendipitous circumstances, it came to the point where they realized what they had in their hands, that they didn't want to send it or sell it to the pharmaceutical industry, and that they had a choice to actually turn this into a major contribution to humanity. And I think it's important that for those of you that have been in business before, and certainly if you've ever partnered with a company, that Vertus wasn't looking to plant his flag of conquest in the world by making ASEA successful. He was at the late 60s when he started ASEA, and at that point he wanted to create a legacy. That's actually been a major purpose for him. After many years of success in business, he actually wanted to create something that he could leave for the world. And so he said yes to the people and no to a big payout that was offered to them for this technology, instead deciding that they would bring this to the world through word of mouth. They're our two main founders, Vertus and his son Tyler. As I mentioned, yeah, they had a choice because they gave the product to a bunch of people to try. 40 people, friends and family, some of whom had some pretty serious health challenges. They said, we'll get back to you in 8 weeks. Just use as much as you like. We'll see how you are in 2 months. When they did get back to them, that 40 people had turned into 135 people in 20 countries. And they were only sharing it because they wanted to help their friends and family. So pretty amazing. As I mentioned, they were approached by Big Pharma, who really loved what they had. And they basically had a choice. They said, if you, we'll write you a check that's so big, you won't want to sell this to anyone else. But the one condition is those 135 people, they're done. You have to cut them off from using the product. And when Vertus sort of objected, he said, look, people make their own decisions on health, even though you're concerned about people who might deteriorate if they don't have this technology. That's not our business. If you want the money, then that's it. And to all of our relief, he said no. And they decided that they would find another way. Now, what's interesting about this is that how did those 40 people become 135? Through word of mouth. And they wanted to create a system that would be based on people, on principles and purpose, not on short-term economic gain. And so we come to how we tell the world about this powerful technology. Well, it's interesting that when you look at how products and services are moved in the world, there's many ways. We've got a little graph here showing that we've got TV, radio, pay-per-click, mobile, newspaper. Look at what the number one most effective way of getting products to the market is. It's by word of mouth. We all love to share things that we use ourselves. And so ASEA decided that they would use the one model in the world that focuses primarily on word of mouth, and that's network marketing, direct sales. Interestingly, there's a lot of misconceptions about the industry. I can tell you it's not a cottage industry anymore, if it ever was. You can see there a comparison of different industries in the world and the revenue that they generate. The whole entire music industry worldwide is $18 billion. Network marketing, I have to move my little square there, $190 billion per year, and it's paying out $200 million in commission per day. That's a significant industry. And ASEA is determined to use network marketing as a vehicle, but to do it significantly differently than you might have seen it before. It's just a little rundown on the company, ASEA. The ASEA success story. They're a legacy-focused, debt-free company. They want to be around to pay your children. If you're building the business now, they'd like to be able to continue to pay your children long into the future, not a 2-year plan, but a 30 to 50-year plan. They own their own registered manufacturing facility that is covered by all regulations. It passes all regulations. 18 international distribution centers around the world, shipping to 33 countries, I think it is now. Over $700 million in sales. Paid out, excuse me, paid out over $320 million in commissions. Obviously, that's out of date. But yeah, and out to people like you and I, ordinary people. We have over 30 people in ASEA that have earned over $1 million building their business from home. Year-on-year growth, tens of thousands of lives changed. So I want to put this to you personally. What does winning look like for you? how much income would it take to make the difference for you? Here is our 2019 income disclosure statement. This is what actual people actually earned working with ASEA as their partner company, telling people about this extraordinary income. And I won't labour the point. You can see that there is something for everyone, whether you want to look at this as a part-time endeavour, if you want to replace your boss, or whether you'd like to completely change your entire lifestyle and have total freedom. Everyone has different goals, but ASEA's idea is for you to use it as a vehicle to achieve whatever dreams you want. And as Tyler Norton, Vertus' son, said, to make memories. We want you to be able to make amazing memories. I didn't mention Plan B income, which is basically, I think a lot of people in the world right now are wishing they'd had a Plan B income. So my suggestion would be, don't make that mistake again. Have a Plan B income in place just in case things don't work out the way they want. Things have been so unpredictable this year. It's a whole new world. So you're probably sitting there thinking, well, it sounds good. Product sounds good and looks like it could help people. And yeah, I'd like to make some extra money, but can I do it? Is it possible for me to do it? Do I have what it takes? And so I just wanted to lay out a few things that ASEA and the leadership teams in ASEA have on offer to make that answer yes. We often say, bit of a cliche, but it's real. You are in business for yourself, but not by yourself. There is a lot of support available should this be something that you'd like to look at. We have presentation tools, PowerPoints like the one I'm using tonight, training tools, weekly, daily support tools. We have regional events, not so many at the moment, but they're going to come back. And we have an annual convention, which takes place in a different part of the US. It's an international convention. And we also have our Australian events, our Australian and New Zealand events as well. I want to mention that timing is very important in this industry. ASEA will always be a good product and we believe a very ethical and wonderful company. But we're in a particular moment in time that I'd like you to understand. ASEA has been building its foundation for about 8 years, the first 8 years. Totally new technology. No one's ever marketed it before. How do we tell the story? How do we get it out there and communicate this effectively? How do we create an international template for growth around the world? A lot of these things have now been done. And ASEA, interestingly, after growing, I think, 10 to 20% a year for the first 8 years, in the following 8 months, they doubled in size, grew 100%. So things are starting to move. The world is starting to realize this sleeping giant is awakening. And so we're at this incredible moment where we're post-risk. Everyone, I think, most people know the terrible success statistics for businesses. Any type of business, 80% of them fail in the first 3 years. And of those that survive, that 20%, 80% of them fail in the next 3 years. So the first 6 years are a little shaky in terms of putting your faith in a company. Well, ASEA is now at 10 years. And as I mentioned earlier, year-on-year growth, debt-free, powering along, changing lives. And now we're starting to explode. It's estimated that in the next 3 to 5 years, it will be, we could actually get to and intend to get to $500 million turnover and to pay $1 billion in commissions by 2025. That's going out to all of the people who are sharing the message. So the goal is creating strong residual incomes. As I said, whether that's for you part-time, full-time, or big-time overtime. We can't create Rome in a day, but over time, with consistent effort, keep the eyes on the prize, almost anything is achievable. It's nice to be able to share with you that ASEA has a depth of culture that is unprecedented in my experience. One part of that culture is wanting to give back, and we have something called the Advancing Life Foundation, which does work in different areas of the world, recently creating wells for poor people with terrible drinking water in Cambodia, helping the Operation Underground Railroad organization to save children from child trafficking, child sex trafficking, etc. Excuse me, I've got this funny throat tonight. Lots of different projects underway, and that will be increasing over time. And we have the wonderful opportunity to contribute to that, and the company will match our contributions to actually get these projects underway. So, we have $1 billion EDX technology, high impact product, gets results. In my experience, when used properly, and that's important, we get results all the time. No one else has it. Everyone needs it. Almost nobody knows about it yet. My personal prediction is that this company will go not just to $500 million, but to several $1 billion turnover. Because in all my years in business, I have never seen anything with this big an impact and this extraordinary an opportunity attached to it. So it can, we out of that several $1 billion in turnover, which is just my opinion, your choice is how big a part of that pie do I want? How big a piece? Because I don't believe that the top earner in ASEA has even joined yet. It's if ASEA is destined to be a mighty oak tree, then right now we're just a sapling poking our head out of the ground. The best is certainly yet to come. A little bit on joining. If you want to become associated with ASEA and have the opportunity to share the message and actually be eligible to earn some residual income, you can enroll as an associate. You go to the website of the person that introduced you to ASEA. You then, once in there, you would order what we call an enrollment order. We have enrollment packs. That is the only time that ASEA effectively discounts the product. And I'll just say, if you're heading in that direction, get the biggest pack you can buy. I've never had anyone say to me, dang, I bought too much product. But I've had lots of people say, if I'd only known the advantages of getting more product in the beginning. So the person who introduced you to this will walk you through that and show you what's available. Is of course all up to you. And we have a user-friendly auto ship. User-friendly is very important in this regard. I've seen people really turned off by auto ship programs. I know one person had to actually cancel a credit card in a company in America just to be able to get off the auto ship. I want to assure you, ASEA is very user-friendly. You can cancel your auto ship at any time. But the great benefit, the big win for you, is that when you're an auto ship, you accumulate what we call loyalty reward points, and they can be redeemed down the track for free product. So the company's putting an incentive in place to help you, give you an incentive to do what's really the best for you. As you saw in the genetic study, well, actually, I didn't go into those details, but over a period of 60 days, when you consistently use ASEA, those gene signaling pathways, many of which close down as we get older, open up again. And as long as you drink it, those pathways remain open. So we definitely want people to treat this not as a medicine at all, because this is not a treatment or cure for any disease or medical condition. It's simply supplementing your body with redox signaling molecules. But the bottom line is, the longer you use it, the better off you will be. I'm just about done, but I'd like to finish with a quote from our founder, Vertus Norton, who very early on in the days of a seer said the following: we are all at the start of something big with great purpose. And right now is the moment that we begin influencing the future. He then finished by saying, we can change the world. And while that might sound a little cliched, for me it's important, because I think in this life, in our modern societies, we are often treated, and we can easily feel like we're a little cog in a huge machine over which we have no control. And I see it over and over again that as people build their ASEA businesses, they're actually able to see themselves making a difference in the world to tens of people, hundreds of people, sometimes to tens of thousands of people. So I believe what Verda said. I agree with him. We can change the world. Everyone, thank you so much for your attendance tonight. I hope that I've explained this all in a way that makes sense. And for further information, please go back to the person that introduced you to this and invited you onto the call, and ask lots of questions. We don't want anyone to just blindly accept what we're saying. Please don't believe me. If I can do anything, if I've done anything tonight, I want to spark your curiosity. And I'll say this: please, please don't let this go till you really understand it, because it is one of the most life-changing phenomenon I have ever come across in my life. And I said no the first time I found it. When I was told about it, I went, oh, what? Salt water? Weird. No way. And I was in not a good space at the time. I was very lucky that my very dear friend came back to me 4 years later and said, Glenn, you really need to look at this. We're changing the world. So that's my plea to you, and my hope that you will get into this. Don't let it go till you understand it, because I think when you do, your mind will be partially blown. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your attendance, and I look forward to talking with you all again soon. Good night.